What's going on, cryptocurrency universe? It's the Bitcoin miner here, guys. I hope everybody's doing well. I know it's been a while. I've got a few videos I've got to get out. This pandemic and having kids and everything has set me for a whirlwind. But guys, today's video is to teach you about chia mining. Well, I've kind of dove into chia mining with some friends of mine. They got me started, and I already had some stuff around here that helped actually from previous setups and stuff that I'm planning and prepping for. So the Verus mainnet is coming out really soon, and I'm planning on building a bunch of mining rigs for it. So I already had a couple of them built, and with merge mining capabilities, you will be able to merge mine eventually up to 22 different chains simultaneously. I had already gotten 64 gigs of RAM, 12 core processors, and everything just pretty much ready to go for Verus mining. But it turns out this is a perfect setup for plotting. I did have, like I said, both rigs. I had some Gen 4 M.2 drives I was using down there, but we're going to cover that in a second. We're going to actually use different drives for the plotter. You can use Gen 4, and I'll show you in a minute why they make a difference versus some of the Intel commercial drives. We'll go to a screen and go over there and take a look at that. But guys, today's video is going to teach you about plotting and mining chia. So the first thing is we've got to learn to do is set up the plotter. I'm assuming you've already installed their wallet on the computer, and you've got that all set up already. You've stored your seed phrase safely and whatnot. And this is kind of my setup where I've got everything planned for this. I had some stuff left over from burst mining. Well, hopefully we don't run into anything near like that again. But I'm very hopeful for chia. I think there's a lot of potential here. And then the synergy with being able to Verus mine with the CPU, because once you stop, you're only going to fill up hard drives for so long, and then you're going to run out of space, and then you just use your, you can use that same processing power that you're using to fill up your drives to Verus mine, and still even the RAM as well. So it kind of really works out as a great synergy.
The next evolution in decentralized tech is here. Verus is a truly free, open-source blockchain protocol designed for privacy, safety, open participation, and unlimited scalability. Decentralized financial and communications tech that can scale to a new internet of value and data exchange. Build with us. Verus. Truth and privacy for all. Learn more and join the conversation on Discord.
So with my particular setup, I'm going with Windows. I chose Windows over the Linux setup. I've heard people are still having trouble with Linux. Always, for whatever reason, Windows seems to be the best thing for fresh new chains and things. It just always seems to be the most stable option. So I just always randomly go to it, and I like Windows better. More of a Windows guy. But let me explain my personal setup and thinking is I have the capability to go to 1 petahash here with these 4 shelves. Each bay is designed to hold 23 drives, which is 1 Windows machine. Each Windows machine is capped at 24. You need 1 for the operating system, and then the other 23 external drives go here. So then you'll have 23 external drives over there, and then my overflow 23 external drives here, for a total of 69 drives, which, depending on your drive size, my goal is to get to 1 petahash. So I'm focusing on 14, 16, and 18 terabyte external drives. So let me show you guys how I got here. I will put all of these parts in the description. They're mostly stuff bought on Amazon, Newegg, and whatnot. But again, mine is the quick and dirty version. Of course, you can go the server route. It's much nicer. It's obviously more professional, but a lot more expensive. The one I was scoping out was like $9,000. And I'm like, no, I'm not spending $9,000 on this right now. We can't even trade this coin. So, I mean, it's a lot of speculation. But again, I do have to give a shout out to my buddies, JC, Dano, especially Dano, and Robin got me up and running. I would have never gotten anywhere near this far with the kids and everything right now. So they've been instrumental in getting me going, and all I had to do was plug and play, and pretty much plug and play and swap drives out. So it's been pretty easy on my behalf. So got to give them major shout outs for teaching me and getting me going in this particular mining venture that we're endeavoring, and I want to teach you guys about. Now remember, I'm trying to teach you guys always about the hot projects as early and as soon as possible. Any opportunities I see about, I try to let you guys know about it. So really, it's really simple. 12 strips, power strips. They were like $30 a piece. You need 16 port USB switchable. I'll put again a link in the description for what these are that I'm using. You do want to get special ones that can handle all the power, to be able to switch them on and off manually. I bought used HP mini computers for like $150, i5s. You mean 8 gigs of RAM. That's all you need to be your farmers. So there's a plotters, farmers, and your node. So I run one on a node, and then I have multiple farmers. And I'm going to teach you guys how to set all that up today, because the node's really simple. It's really simple to plot straight on Windows, but we're going to show you how to do all that on Windows, but through batch files, and really streamline the process and make it so you can sleep and you don't have to sit there and click buttons. Trust me, 2 kids, stay-at-home dad, it's like not that easy. So let's get into the build for the plotter, and it's really simple. It's the same thing we're going to use for the Verus miner. I used, Trident Z RAM. The Tough gaming board, you can go with a cheaper option for about $120. This was about $180. The RAM was a little expensive, but it's going to make a big difference in plotting, and it will make a big difference in running your nodes when you're merge mining Verus, because the reason why you need so much RAM in Verus is because you're running 22 different nodes. So it will help a lot with that process. The processor I decided to go with was the Ryzen 9. This is 24 threads, which will produce about 40 mega hashes on Verus. And this particular setup with 4 gigs of good temporary drives will get you 14 plots on Chia. So we need to talk about the drive difference. And we'll go ahead and actually get into that, because that's kind of the most important difference here about setting up your plotter. And then in Chia, it's also going to be an arms race. As fast as you can plot, the faster you can get your mining going, and the more that you can get your mining going. So, I prefer the higher end board because it's got better VRMs. And the VRMs will stay much cooler, especially for overclocking, especially when we're talking about mining and even plotting, because plotting is going to use your CPU very drastically as well. So now, again, you're going to want to use a real simple SSD for your operating system, something like a Kingston 120 gigabyte drive. That's all I use for the operating system. And then you're going to want to use what you have around for your temporary drives. This particular setup will do 14 plots in parallel at about, I think it was 28,000 seconds, which I think was about 7 hours or so. I'd have to redo the math. But it's pretty quick and pretty large plots in parallel, except for this particular rig, because the NVMEs, these are Gen 4s, even with the heat sinks, run slower than the commercial drives. And you can even get the commercial drives cheaper used than you can these. These guys are $360, even on sale at Newegg a piece. And the endurance on these is about 1.8 million read and writes. So it's decent, where your commercial drives, which I personally prefer the P4 110 series. The 2 terabytes only have about a 2.5 million read and writes, but you can pick these guys up used for like $300 on eBay. I even, sent the guys the bid, an offer, and wind up getting these for $250 a piece. So I was able to get these $250 a piece, and the endurance on these is still like 90%. So it ultimately has more life in it than the brand new NVMe drives. But I know not everybody's going to get these deals. These are $500 new, maybe $450 new. But my plan is to use these and then sell them secondary market and not use the NVMe drives. And we're going to go to the screen now. So this is the NVMe drives, the 4th generation. As you can see, the average response time kind of spikes up pretty high. The read and writes are pretty decent, but at 360 new compared to 450 new, I would definitely go with those. The downside is they have about 40% less endurance than this chip. Than these SSDs, the Intel P510s. That I was telling you about earlier. But again, I'll put all these links in the description. I definitely prefer these drives if you can find them used on eBay, although I think they're getting picked over. So do your best to get your hands on the high-endurance Intel server drives. If not, the 4th gen NVMe drives will work just fine. But make sure that your motherboard that you're using does have 2 4th gen NVMe slots. Usually they only have 1. The one I'm linking does have both. So, one other thing I'd like to point out about using the server cards is in this rig here, they actually need the 216 PCI Express slot lanes. So this board only has 2 of them. You will need to use a riser card in order to get a GPU out on this setup. Unfortunately, AMD just doesn't have built-in graphics. So you're just going to have to use a riser card in order to get any type of graphics out of this, unless you want to remote into the desktop. But this is for Windows setup to keep it simple and easy. Now, be careful with your cases. These things do run hot. As you see, I have a little fan right here blowing on those NVMe drives. The server cases, they run cool. There's not a problem whatsoever. There is some software that you can download that will basically tell you your drive's health, remaining life, and the temperature of each drive. So I suggest you download that in order to keep track of your drives, which are the P4510 series are the ones I'm recommending. All right, guys. Now, let's get you to the super easy part of automatically starting up your system. I mean, so this way you don't have to go into the GUI. You'll be able to farm and mine at the exact same time. And also you can set it up just to autofill up a 16 terabyte drive. It's very simple. And this is where we're going to use this bat file. So this is going to be the first thing I'm going to show you is to set up the bat file. And then I'm going to show you how to set up this machine as a farmer. So we're going to assume that you have already installed the latest chia-blockchain application and got everything up to date. And you've put your seed phrase in. There is a way to do this without putting a seed phrase in, but it's a bit more complicated, and this is the quick and dirty. So if you guys are interested, leave me comments below, and we'll see about making a video about doing without the seed phrase. So you will have to log into this with the seed phrase, but when you are using this machine to plot and farm, you will not start up the software, the GUI. You will only start up certain portions of it through the command, or actually by using these command line bat files. So again, very, very simple. All we're going to have to do is, I'm going to put this down in the description again, is you're going to need to change your name, your user name. That is your username right there. All you got to do is change your username. Now, if you build the exact same system I built, then you would be just fine leaving 8 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of 8 cores. Now this is for the Threadripper. I would actually suggest, I'm going to change this to 6. So 6 gigs of RAM and 6 threads. Now remember, this is a 24 core processor. 24 thread processor. So if we are going to run 14 or 16 plots in parallel, that's overtasking. We don't have that much. So what we're going to do is we're going to stagger start. We're going to start one, wait 15, 20 minutes, and then start the next one. That way we can over allocate the cores and to each section, because each portion of the plotting uses different parts of the computer, whether it be the CPU, more of the hard drives, more of the RAM, or so forth. So by staggering it, you can over allocate and still plot in parallel a lot more. So based on this particular build that I'm going to show you guys in this quick and dirty setup, is you're going to use 6 gigs of RAM, and if you want to go with 32 gigs of RAM, you don't need to purchase 64. You could buy 32. You will need the 64 or more if you want to do more merge mining on the Verus network, is why I purchased the 64 to start with. But now you only need 4. So you could go with 4 gigs of RAM. It'll be a little slower than the 6 versus the 64 in order to do 14 or 16 in parallel. And then you want to give it 6 cores of RAM again. So you're going to change those numbers from 8 to 6 and 8 to 6. Now this is your temporary drive. I always change this to T. So you're going to take those 2 NVMe 2 terabyte NVMe drives, or the 2 Intel SSDs, and you're going to run them in RAID or stripe them and then rename it to T. So this is your temporary drive, and this is why you're striping them, is so it reads and writes fast. Then the next one is D. This is your destination file. This is where you're going to write your K32 plot once it's actually finished. Now, once that's actually finished, it's going to be about 100 megabytes or so, 100 gigabytes and more. So a 16 terabyte drive will hold about 140 of these in total. So if you look at this number here, this is how many it's going to run in parallel. Or excuse me, at a time, in 10. So this will keep cycling. It'll do 1, and then it'll keep going through as you change that number. So if I do 14 of these together in parallel at setting 10, this will fill up one 16 terabyte drive, and I don't have to worry about it. So I can just kind of set it, do 14 of these, and then come back to it, and that 16 terabyte drive will be done. You can set this higher and do something known as hot swapping, where you would just sit there and switch them automatically in and out. So now that we know how to easily set up our bat file and get that up and running, and get everything where we need to get it going, it's really simple. Now what we need to do is show you guys how to get the harvester set up. So again, very sorry for the shaky screen, but this is a quick and dirty, just camera kind of quick and hold it and show you guys what you need to do and type in. So what we need to do now is open a PowerShell. So we're just going to go ahead and open up a PowerShell. And I'm going to give you guys all of these commands also in the description. So all you're going to have to do is copy and paste. So we're not going to have to do all of this, actually, because you guys have put your seed phrase in. So the first things we're going to have to do is change our directory. I'm holding the camera again, and sorry for this, guys. But you need to change your username, which is right here. You're going to need to make sure to change that username. Copy this. And then, paste it over here into your... Why is it? Maybe I didn't copy it. Sorry. Trying to film and do this at the same time. Okay, there we go. And then we're going to change our directory. Now that we've changed our directory... Okay, one other thing I would like to mention, we need to make sure at all locations that you're using any type of bat file that the app series or the app number matches. So you're going to need to adjust that as you update the Chia application. Rather go to 4, 5, 6. Just make sure to update that so that way that this will work. And that's the one other thing you do need to do other than your ID. Your user ID. And maybe I should show you really quick how to find your computer user. Just go to your C drive and then go to users and then pick the one that you used. You know, it's public, default, and then this one is the Chia Plotter 1, as you can see here. And you just want to copy that name and then put it over here, just in case you guys did not know. All right, now the next step is to do the command stop all. So you're going to copy and paste that into your PowerShell. I'm not going to go ahead and do it because this machine is actually running. And that will stop everything. Then we need to add our drives. I just add 2, but you can add anything between D and Z. I just do D and E because that's all I need for this particular machine. But my other farmers for the main wall, I'll go ahead and add everything all the way up to Z. Now the last thing we need to do is put in the main node's computer IP address, local IP address. So it's the V4 IP address is what you're going to need. So we're going to actually replace just this. And let me go to the other computer and show you how to do that. Okay guys, on the machine that you are running the node, this is the full node that's running. You're going to go and open another PowerShell and then type in ipconfig. You will get a list of a bunch of your internet connections. You're basically looking for the IP4 number. And once you have that, it'll be at the top, pretty much towards the top. You're going to take that and then move it to the other machine and replace that number right there. Once you've replaced that number, you're going to copy and paste that entire section and then enter it into the PowerShell and hit enter. That's it, guys. You now have a secondary farmer. But we have to start this farmer. And in order to start that farmer, we need to copy and paste this command, start harvester. Now, the downside is every time you restart this machine or close PowerShell, unfortunately, the harvester will stop. In a way that we can confirm and make sure that the harvester is working for you is we need to go back over. Well, before we go over to the other machine, we have another bat file for you, which is start harvester. Oops. This start harvester command we put into the start menu, and every time you start Windows, it will just automatically restart. It's very simple again. But at the same time, you're going to have to change your name and the application number as you're doing it. I'll put all this stuff down in the description, label it, and that's it. And the start harvester, we need to go down here and then type and put your, punch the Windows key and R and open that. Then you want to type in shell. Oops. Semicolon. Start. Up. And once we type that in, I hope you guys were able to see that. Again, I'm sorry for the quick and dirty version. I'm just trying to get this out. We're going to get into the Windows Start menu, and there's the path. And then you're just going to come over here, take your harvester bat file, and move it into here. Let's go over to the other computer. All right, guys, I told you I'd get you up and running pretty quickly. So the way that we're going to confirm that your farmers are working is by checking the plot filters. I have several farmers set up here, and as you can see, there's different numbers, 104, 139, 123, 664. So basically, those are different machines that are coming in. So you want to make sure to check how many plots you have on that particular machine that you're farming on, and then correlate it here. And there's one other place we can confirm this. And again, we are on the farming tab, guys, and you want to select show advanced options. And you're looking for your harvester network, and you will see them listed under your harvester network. I'm not going to show it because IP addresses and stuff like that. Don't want to deal with blurring it out. So thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned. We got a lot more videos coming out.
With Verus, the possibilities are endless. Verus is building the future of a decentralized, self-sovereign, quantum-ready private ID and global currency that is ready for the world. It's your identity upgrade for a digital world. It's Verus ID. Download the free software at verus.io and register your Verus ID today.